New York City takes a dump on Bama? Oh yes, you heard that correctly. According to Vice reports, the state of New York has a history of crapping on small towns in Alabama and its constituents. What has happened? According to Vice's short film published in April 2018, the city of New York paid an Alabama landfill to hold 10 million pounds of human waste. Why Alabama? Landfill fees in the state of Alabama are much lower than that of New York and even lower than the cost of landfills in nearby states like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, where smaller towns have already put their foot down and stopped accepting the overwhelming amount of sludge. Companies have gilded the sludgy situation by nicknaming the waste biosolids, which strategically doesn't sound too bad. Said biosolids were placed on trains, shipped down to the south, and dropped off in the small town of West Jefferson, Alabama. West Jefferson, however, was not the right small town to use as a massive porta potty. Eventually, West Jefferson filed and won a case against Big Sky Environmental, the landfill company responsible for the dump. This win kept the corporation from using their town as a stopping point for their pungent trains. That brings us to the star of Vice's film, Parrish, Alabama. The sludge was brought to Parrish and left on train tracks right outside of a local baseball field. In the film, the then mayor of Parrish, Heather Hall, listens to constituents' grievances and makes her own complaints about her lack of power and the environmental decisions that are made in her town. But why target Alabama specifically? At one point, New York City was actually selling their waste to farmers out west, in more progressive and sustainable states like Colorado and Texas. Ending the business between farmers in 2009, the city decided that it was more cost-effective to dump their waste on small rural towns in southern states like Alabama, utilizing their landfills. Though a cheaper system was motivation, it was not the only reason why New York brought their waste to Alabama. Not only does the film mention the cheap costs to dump in poor southern states like Alabama, it also notes that states like New York, who are facing their own issues in their statewide sewage disposal system, take advantage of the lack of regulation Alabama has to keep its environment clean and safe for residents. So, who is to blame? As the town of Parrish stomps their feet in New York City's stench, who is to blame for the situation at hand? While it looks like a case of the big bad city slickers bullying the innocent small town guys and gals of the South, I have to give the state of Alabama's regulations, or lack thereof, some major side-eye.
Oh, you stink!
Corporations are capitalists by nature and historically have never cared about whose neck they have to place their boot on to make a profit. This we know. If a state has a weak or no regulation in place to protect their people, why not take advantage of their negligence? This all sounds pretty callous, I know. It also may sound like a mockery of Parrish and the injustice, I also know. But it's no worse than the comments under Vice's video. Check this out.
Epic, unregulated trains. What a time to be alive.
New York, it's on everyone.
I'm a New Yorker. I guess one of my d***s is on that train. Sorry, Alabama.
Pretty brutal, huh? On a serious note, Alabama, we have to do better. They're all going to continue laughing at us. This situation not only eliminates the glitches that happen within the crisis that is the national sewage disposal system, among others, as mentioned in my previous article on some nasty environmental racism taking place in the state, but it also shines a humiliating spotlight on the weak, ineffective, and non-existent precautions that the state takes to protect its people, with the traditionally laissez-faire way of looking at the public and essentially the environments in which they live.